Welcome to the Refine and Shine, the podcast dedicated to mastering the art of continuous improvement and optimizing every aspect of your life. I'm Angelina Rivera, your host, and together we'll uncover the secrets to refining our lives, our habits, and our processes to unlock our inner brilliance. Join us on Refine and Shine, where we'll delve deep into achieving more in life without the burnout and without all the stress. This podcast is your platform for a more fulfilling life through continuous improvement and personal growth. In each episode, I and a diverse array of guests discuss practical strategies for up-leveling every aspect of your life. From developing good habits and organizing your space to refining your mindset and personal goals, we're going to explore it all. Our guests share personal stories about the systems they've developed or systems they've used and the tweaks they've made in their lives when refinement was needed, allowing them to truly shine. Listen to Refine and Shine to learn how you can implement continuous improvement techniques in your daily routine, develop and maintain healthy habits that lead to success and satisfaction, organize your life to reduce the stress and increase your productivity, foster a growth mindset that propels you to new heights. My mission is to inspire you to take bold action, make positive changes, and become the best version of yourself. Whether you're aiming to elevate your career, nurture meaningful relationships, or enhance your overall well-being, Refine and Shine is your guiding light. With over 25 years of experience in continuous improvement, I help businesses streamline their processes, establish efficient work areas, and implement standard work protocols. I have trained over 600 individuals and teams in process improvement, optimizing workflows, and enhancing overall operational efficiency. Tune in every week as we embark on an enlightening journey, exploring paths to refinement and illuminating the way to shine in every area of our lives. Subscribe now and join us on this journey to polish your life and let your best self shine through. Thank you for joining us on Refine and Shine. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Refine and Shine podcast. I'm super excited about my guest today, and I always say that because I just have so many amazing people in my life, and I'm so blessed to know so many great people. And when I first met Jessica, she just had this smile just radiates, and I always see her with a smile. And although we actually were in a mastermind together, and I know that we've had some hard times, not together, like fighting, but just like us deep going through some deep emotions. And so we probably both have seen each other cry, but and that's okay because she still puts on a smile because she has done so much amazing, incredible healing. And so let me read a little bit about her bio. My guest today is Jessica Phillips. She is a speaker, she is a coach, and she is the founder of Rooted and Rising, which is a movement helping women in their midlife season reconnect with their worth, rediscover their voice, and rise into the most powerful version of themselves. She is a certified 180 method life coach and a seasoned entrepreneur. She blends faith, neuroscience, and lived-in experience to guide women through the deep inner work of healing, reinvention, and transformation. From overcoming addiction and religious wounding to building multiple successful businesses, including a vintage radio repair shop. Yes, you've heard that right. I've heard about her business and it is so amazing. A real estate portfolio and a thriving wellness network. Jessica knows what it means to rebuild from the inside out. She is also the host of the Growth Lounge podcast, where she shares raw conversations, practical tools, and powerful stories to inspire women to take bold steps toward the life they were created for. Known as a hope dealer and a mentor to many, Jessica helps self-led women take the lid off their limitations, immerse in their healing, and make a 180 turn towards purpose and peace, mind, body, and soul. Thank you, Jessica, for being on here today.
Thank you. I'm very excited and honored to be on your podcast. And I'm excited to what we're going to be digging in here to today.
Well, thank you so much. And I just love all the things that you have said, like just reading your bio, like we can see that when people look at it, they're like, oh, she has all these great things, must be nice. But then we also go into you have gone through addiction and I think it was like a religious overthrow or something like that. And like you have been through a lot. And
but you're also like have learned how to heal from all those things and make yourself a voice to others. And the midlife, like I'm a midlife woman, and how you're helping people. And I mean, you're also, creating retreats. You have these speaking events. You have all of these things that you've created. But it wasn't always easy, right? It was a lot of work that you put into this. So can you just tell us about what you want to share on your journey today for my listeners?
Yes. And thank you for inviting me to do that because many people, so many people see what is going on in your life right now. And what they don't see is the work that's been being put in. And, you know, one of the things that came to me that just I think God laid on my heart when you were introducing me and whatnot, and we were getting started here is that, you know, as I was healing from the wounds and trauma of my life, I always felt like I always felt like I was called for more, that there was more for me, that I was born into this circumstance and things happened, but that there was more for me, And so I feel like I always kind of pursued um, the healing, even though I didn't know what I was doing. And that's the piece I want people to get is that, you know, you just have to do what is in front of you. And so you might not have the tools that you're going to have in 20 years, but if you are feeling called that there's more for you, that you were set apart for something different from your current circumstance, start the work. Just get into some sort of action that will cause the change in your life and start the healing. It's going to be messy. It is going to be messy. It's always a messy journey, and we never quite get there. We're always healing, right? But if you just start and walk through that first door, all the doors will start to open. And it's a matter of staying that course over time. It's not an overnight, you're not healed overnight. You're not, all those past wounds and hurts, they don't just disappear. But the more you work on that, the better the rooms you get in, the better people you get around, and the better resources you have. But you have to start,
Mm.
you
I love
know?
how, yes, I love how you share that. And as you were saying all of these things and talked about the healing and like you're constantly, there's going to be more wounds and stuff. And it reminds me of an onion, right? Like peeling the layers of an onion.
Yep.
You don't just get to, it takes time. And as you open up new doors, there's going to be new layers that have to heal. And there may be stuff that you didn't even know, pains that you didn't even know were part of your story until things happen later in life, that
Mhm.
maybe somebody had said something to you that said, oh, well, when you did this 20 years ago, it really hurt me. And because of that, I'm not talking to you. Or like just little things like that that you didn't know. And I think that that's important. And another thing you said is about your circumstances. Like we are born into our circumstances, but doesn't mean you have to stay in there. And I think
Mhm.
that that's important too. I grew up in poverty. I was born at home, literally in the projects. And didn't mean that I had to stay in that type of lifestyle. Like you can make that change, but it's you and you alone who can make that choice and can make that decision.
Yes. And while our circumstances from the beginning were very different, also, I want to shed light on the fact that specifically for the person who is born into a circumstance where everybody from the outside thinks, oh, it must be nice, must be nice. And that, you were born with a silver spoon in your mouth and everything's perfect in your world. It's not always that way. You don't know what's going on in that person's life. And, you know, I I had a father who was an entrepreneur, and that's where his focus was. He built businesses and built them successfully and then would go on to the next one, and uh, very rarely home, and expected a lot of us. He would say to us when we left the house, remember who you are. It was that was kind of how we were raised by him. But I also had a mother who didn't neither of my parents were very emotionally mature, I'll say. And I had a mom who was She's such a sweet mom. I absolutely adore my mother, but she couldn't handle her own feelings, never learned to process her own feelings. She is the true suck it up buttercup mom. And I think that generation, unfortunately, that age women, I find it's a lot that way. We women were never really encouraged to express themselves, right? They were not the leaders of the house. They were the ones that were home raising the kids and the behind the scenes thing, and their voice really didn't matter, but it did matter. But because she didn't think her voice mattered, then mine didn't either. And so when I tried to tell her some of the things that were happening to me, um, that were not good and not okay, she couldn't hear it. So I had to stuff a lot of things, and I thought I was the wrong. I was bad. It must be me, right? And so for anyone listening that is in that situation or was raised in that situation, your voice does matter. You matter. And it wasn't, that's not your burden to carry. It was not your burden to carry. And so, like I said, the healing comes in phases. And I loved your analogy of the onion because eventually you do have to heal the little girl. You have to help her feel safe again, in order to truly step into what God, the universe, source, whatever you ascribe to, it's God for me, but whatever the calling that was placed on your life, the healing has to come first.
Yeah, so important. And I can so relate with, feeling like your voice doesn't matter, or, being around where you grew up, maybe for many of my listeners, maybe you felt like you weren't heard because, your parents were so busy, or in my case, my mom was a single parent, so just like working in multiple jobs, trying to make ends meet and stuff, and just like trying to move on to the next thing and then the next thing, and having to take care of 5 kids on her own, and then later the sixth child. But one of the things I think that, and then so for me, when I was, raising my children, I kind of felt like, okay, I got to make sure my kids are taken care of. And I felt like sometimes I was also taking on, because of what I had learned from my mom, is just stay busy, stay, take care of the kids, take care, make sure there's food on the table, but also don't stop growing, get your education, do all these other things. And in that, it maybe feels like we're not doing enough sometimes. And we just gotta, but I think that if I would have known what I know now, I would have did a lot of healing work first before I even started to have children and all these things. But, life happens, right? And we can't change what happens or the path that we take. But what we can do is say, today I decide that I'm going to heal and I'm going to move forward. And I can't change the past, but I can change on how I think of myself and love myself and work on the healing.
Yes. And I don't want anyone to think that what I said was you have to be healed or doing not that we're ever healed, but that you have to be to a certain point before you can step into your purpose, because I think it happens in tandem, right? You step into your purpose, you peel back another layer, it bubbles up, you get curious about it, you heal it, you keep going, you peel another layer off. They say new levels, new devils. So the more you grow, the more stuff kind of bubbles up. And that's one of the things I teach with my light method is you got to just sit with that mess. It's like how I describe it is, if you've ever made popcorn on the stove,
Mhm.
right? You put the oil in, you put the kernels in, it starts popping, and eventually that popcorn is going to start coming out of that pot. So you want to turn the heat down and put the lid on. And man, do we do that in our life. We start growing, things start popping up, and it's uncomfortable because all of the stuff is coming to the surface, all the things we didn't deal with, all the I don't matter moments in our life, right? And we want to turn the heat down and put the lid on, and we can't. If we want to grow, we have to keep that lid off and let that popcorn just pop away, because some of the kernels in there, like you said, were never yours to carry. They were someone else's burden that they put on you. And so you get to the beauty of it is you get to decide what kernels what part of this pot do I take with me, and what do I leave behind me. And that's the greatest part of the growth journey, is just immersing yourself in the mess of it. And it is messy, but you do get to get curious and be like, okay, not keeping that. you know, that was never mine to carry, or, oh, this is a nugget I'm going to bring forward with me.
I absolutely love that analogy. Like that is so good. I'm going to remember that because I like as you were saying that, I remember I just like I can picture it and like, you know, how it all works out. Like I remember, popping the popcorn in the pan, and now I have a nice popcorn machine. But I just that whole visual is so important. And thank you for sharing that because I think that a lot of my listeners can relate to that. And I love how you said that like we choose like that some of those kernels aren't ours to carry. And I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. And you talk about the light method and you talk about your healing and you're a group coach and or you have a 180 method. Like tell all the things that people can do to work with you. What do you offer to people?
Yeah, so one of the things that I'm really that really lights me up right now is my Rooted and Rising retreat in October. And this just it fills my cup so much. I get teary-eyed because I want people to have the opportunity to step into this. And it's so hard when we're in that daily grind. It is hard to slow down in order to speed up. And especially as women, like you said, your mom, was raising all of you by herself and getting she was an incredible woman. She went and got herself a degree in the midst of it. And then you're the same way. And I think a lot of us women are busy and we almost hide behind and like, we're going to die on this hill of I was able to do it all. And but because of that, there's no time for us. There's no time to pop the popcorn, right? And so I want to offer women an opportunity to come step away from that busy life and just get still long enough that they can reconnect with themselves, connect with other women, and do a little bit like start that work of, and it's not just for the person who's just starting the work, it's also for the person that's ready to go to the next level, but they're at that other layer of the onion, right?
Mhm.
And so it's going to be in upstate New York in the fall, which is going to be absolutely beautiful in this beautiful original log cabin, indoor pool and hot tub. I'm just so excited. It's going to be such a place of healing. And so I'm really excited about that. Um, and then, the Growth Lounge podcast is a great place to connect, but also the coaching, which I'll be opening up slots in August for the coaching. And it's so different than the therapies that I have experienced in my life,
Mhm.
and I know you've been exposed to the 180 method too. And it's just so different because it's not the suck it up buttercup. It's not the Band-Aid method. It truly is looking at all those, I'll use that analogy again, looking at all the popcorn kernels and just kind of figuring out why certain things do trigger you the way they trigger you. What is that root cause of that? And then healing that, right? And so I'm really excited for opening up the next round of coaching with the 180 method. I'm so proud to be a coach in that and using that container. So yeah, and so I would say those are probably the best ways to connect with me and work with me. Yeah.
I love it. And the thing is that you have, I love that you say you have different containers and the way that people can work with you. And I think that that's so important because it wasn't always like that, right? You didn't, you have done so much growth. And I love that you have the Growth Lounge podcast because you've done, like I've watched you over the years and just all the things that you've done. And, just to be very quiet and in a way and just like having this great personality, but all the things that you're creating. And, what was the first business? I mean, you have the vintage record that you created. You're a seasoned entrepreneur. What is the real estate portfolio that you guys have as well? What is that?
Yeah, so and I'll just say my first business was I'm a hairdresser by trade, and so the first thing I did for myself as an entrepreneur was move a salon into my home when I started having my babies because I wanted to be home with them. And I'm retired. I've made a lateral shift from that business. I don't do hair anymore, but I did it for well over 20 years and I loved it. Our real estate portfolio really, again, my father was a serial entrepreneur as well. And my grandfather, my dad's father, always told us they're not making any more land. It's the best investment that you can, if you've got extra money, buy dirt, right? That great song, buy dirt. And so they had quite a bit of real estate that they owned in this area. And so it was just kind of a natural thing for for my husband and I to start buying real estate. And the thing is, me being having my own hair business, my husband having his own business, you don't have a 401k. There's no retirement plan when you're a small business owner, unless you're investing in your own Roths or whatnot. But and so we decided that that was going to be our retirement, that we were going to build this real estate portfolio. And the exciting thing is that we have had long-term rentals, and now we are transitioning from long-term into mid-term, short-term rentals. So getting into like the Airbnb platform, and also midterm rentals for traveling professionals. So like 3 month to 6 month rentals. But that meant taking all those long-term rentals, doing a lot of work on them, furnishing them. But that's been really exciting. So we're finishing up. We're finishing up one this week, and then we start on another 5-bedroom next week. So it's something we love to work together, but it's something that I think is another piece of us that we can also pass down because we want to leave a legacy, right? And in many ways, like you wanted to raise your kids differently, right? I want to raise my kids differently I did raise my kids differently than I was raised, but I also want them to have a piece of me when I'm gone too, something to hang on to, and business as far as a business goes. Yeah.
I love that. And can you just let us know? I mean, if you mind sharing, I mean, your husband and you have been together for quite some time. Can you just share to our audience how long and then how many children you guys have?
Yes. So we're going to celebrate 30 years this August. And we have 3 kids. We have a 30-year-old, and you can do the math there, a 30-year-old, 26 and 22. And I will just say real quick, if I can, Angelina, my husband and I met in high school. So we were high school sweethearts. And then he graduated a year ahead of me and went into the Navy. And that rocked my world because he was really my rock. And so when he left, I fell apart. And we stayed together for the first year, but then this was before cell phones and internet. He was stationed, I live in upstate New York. He was stationed all the way in the state of Washington. So it was snail mail or phone call. And I was going to beauty school, and I met someone who I started to date, and he introduced me to cocaine. And so I found myself in a 2.5 year addiction to crack cocaine by the time my now husband, came home from the Navy. And of course, we reconnected as soon as he got home. And 6 months after he got home, I found myself pregnant because we had connected. And so I just want to share that because, when we first got together, I had put myself in rehab, and but it was hard. 30 years is great. I'm so proud of us because there were so many times we wanted to quit. I didn't have any money. He was broke. Here we have this baby. Neither one of us have the maturity that we needed to going into that situation, and it was hard. It was a lot of work. So not every relationship starts as a fairy tale, but it can end as a fairy tale, right?
Well, I love what you shared too. I mean, I just commend you too, because we all have addictions, right? Like we all are addicted to something, whether it could be substance or, drinking or working too much or, all of these things, spending, gambling, everybody has something that they're addicted to.
Yeah.
And But the thing is that no matter what addictions that we have to learn, is it ruling our life? Or, is it making us a different person? And when we find that it's making us a different person, we got to do the work to kind of get rid of that.
Mm.
And I think that that's important as well. I come from a family of people, alcoholism and things like that. And it just, some people spent 15 to 20 years, or some people died from their choices. And that's really hard too. And so when I found, back up, when I found that I was working and, doing like just working and grinding and doing all these things, I had to like, am I addicted to staying busy, or am I avoiding things too? And that's
Mm.
really when my healing work started to come in, and I really started to work on my time management and, just realizing, what am I working for? What am I doing all of this work for? What am I hiding from? And I think that that's important as well. And that's what got me back into the church and got me back into, like, I started running and just doing different things, just to kind of heal through my process, through my life as well. And so I think that that's also important to share, is that we can all, find our, when we are avoiding things, or starting to find that we're spending way too much time doing this, or maybe even it's, not podcasts, but Netflix and all of the things, or even what we're feeding into our bodies, are listening to. If we're listening to negative news or negative, those are things that can be addictions that cause us into a downward spiral. And so those are the things. And when you find that you're doing that, that's where the healing needs to start coming in. It's like, why am I doing this? And I think that working with you and the type of coaching that you have, that's where somebody can reach out to you and say, hey, I'm realizing I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And that's where the 180 could come in and help them heal through that as well.
Yeah, and I call it our numbing agent, right? Everyone has a numbing agent, whether it's scrolling, all the things that you said. We all have okay, I just need to zone out for a minute here and disassociate. And truly, we do, like you said, need to think about what am I avoiding? And is there work to do here? And that's hard. And it's hard if you're not in the right rooms, right? Like we are the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. And so I met you because you and I were getting in rooms with other powerful women that were doing amazing things. And the first time I got in that room, I felt so out of place. Not, I felt out of place before I entered the room. But the beautiful thing about these rooms of women who are doing the thing that you want to do and might be a few steps ahead of you, they want you there. They want to help you. And so when I finally got in the room physically, I was like, this is nothing like I expected. The energy is different. The women are different. And it's you get connected with resources that you never knew were there. And it just amplifies your growth. And I think that's what you've seen in me over the last couple of years. I got in the room. I finally stopped listening to the I don't matter lies in my mind, and I got in the room.
I think that that's so important. And it's like, we going back to what we started in the beginning, that everybody can think, oh, wow, they're doing this and they're doing that. Like, you and I are so much different from getting in the rooms than we were years ago. Like my first room, let's say the Align conference, for example, which I think is the first time we physically met. Um, I didn't get to the first Align conference until 2022, physically into the room. And here 3 years later, now doing a podcast and almost on my year anniversary, but it took time. And it took
Yes.
time to understand that, when everybody else was opening it, I mean, people are still growing and doing podcasts or doing this or doing that. And it could be easily saying, oh, I shouldn't do this because they're doing it. Or maybe I should stop because so many people are doing it. But the thing is, like you said, your voice matters. And we all have a different way or a different take. And we have all something important to say. And our healing and our experiences, and then the guests that we bring on, can help our listeners, because they're listening to us for a reason. I think that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. And the other thing I want to say too is sometimes we feel like, oh, well, everyone's doing this. Like you said, so many people are starting podcasts, but nobody's you. Nobody has your message, your voice, your past experience. And so there's someone out there that desperately needs you, desperately needs our listeners to step into their purpose and passion. And it might not be a podcast, right? But someone's waiting for you to do the healing work and move into that next level you.
Yes. I think that's so important. And I also love, and I'm not sure if you're doing any of these soon, but I know that you sometimes do events in your state as well. or you do gatherings, like a 1 day conference of your own events as well. Do you have any of those coming up anytime soon?
So I don't have anything planned, but it is on the plan to plan. I'll say that. And yeah, so we call them the Bloom events, and it's just a great day for women to come together. Our last one it was in January. We did vision boards, and we just spoke on intentionality and all of those things, and it was a great time. And building community is a passion of mine. I think that most women feel like they're alone, that whatever they're going through, they're the only ones going through it. And it's just not so. It's just not so. And I know that like not everyone can pay the money or travel to go get in the rooms. Like you and I are, we traveled a lot to get into some of these rooms. And I wanted to bring a piece of that back locally for the local women who couldn't travel with me to get in a room. Yeah.
Love that. And I love, so you saw that there was a need, and so you created this thing, right? And I love that you did it in January to start with the vision boards. And I also love that I see, when you and your husband are planning on the calendar together and you're working together, and just to see that you're still doing, like, I mean, you have to be able to plan and communicate together to have multiple thriving businesses as well. But one of the things that I also love is that you also, you just radiate. Like, you have such a loving heart and you tell it like it is. And one of the things you do every morning, if you follow her on social media, she's always sharing about her grounding. Can you tell us a little bit about your morning routine?
Oh gosh, yeah. So I do live in upstate New York, so it can be sporadic because we don't have great weather. But grounding, when you can get barefoot, I love to be barefoot. And I never really understood it until I started learning, oh, that's called grounding because the earth is an energetic field. And so when you can get barefoot out in the grass, for a minute to however long you can stand there, but even if you could just do it for a minute every day, it will calm your nervous system in the most powerful way. And the interesting thing, um, and it's a bigger concept than what we have to go in right now. But if you're standing there and you feel your body pulling forward, it's because your body is soaking up that energy. And oftentimes when I'm standing there, I just have to start walking because it's like it's pulling me forward. And that is something that I would say pay attention to when you are in a room, when you're around certain people. Is your body moving backwards or toward it? Because you are energy. We are all energy, and energy is sticky, right? And we want to move toward the good energy. So yeah, mix up, some hydrate, some electrolytes, and I go out there and get that natural light in my eyes and on my face. And I just breathe in that fresh air and stand there and just kind of I just give thanks. I'm just practice some gratitude. That's the other thing that really will shift your life is gratitude. So I just kind of thank you, God, for another day, and soak up that energy and try and bring that into the world that day.
I love that. I love that you do that. And I love watching when you do that. And then another thing that you and your husband do is you try to work out together a lot too. And I think that that's so amazing is that you guys make time for each other, and to be together 30 years of marriage, is so important to have that time together and doing something that is helping you both grow, your health, helping you with your health and all those things. So how often do you guys work out together each week?
Yeah, so we have a home gym and we meet here's the thing. We truly are, as women, we are the head of the household, whether we want to believe it or not. And if you start something, chances are your spouse or your, your partner is going to come along with you. So I started working out with a trainer, 3, maybe, let's see, well, a couple years ago. And then we go to Florida for the winter for a couple months. And I was like, I don't want to stop. Can we do it virtually? And so I said to my husband, hey, I'm going to be doing this, you might as well join me. And so that's how that started. And so now we still work out with a trainer, but we do it here in our home gym Mondays and Tuesday mornings at 7 o'clock. And it has been such a blessing because it's just another thing that we can do together. And it helps when you have someone in the same mindset, working on the same things. It helps everything. I am similar to you in that I can start working and then it'll be 6 o'clock at night and I'm like, oh my gosh, I never fed myself today. And so my husband, he has started over the last like 6 months making me packing me a lunch in the fridge every day, and just really encouraging me to, okay, your body needs fuel. You have to stop and fuel yourself because your body doesn't know when it's going to get its next meal.
Mhm.
Like, so it, yeah, it's been a blessing and I love it. Yeah. So those are our commitment days.
I love that. I love that. And what I want you guys to know too, it takes the communication and it takes like the willingness to talk, and like they do a lot of things together, like the planning, and all of these things in communication. And to survive 30 years of marriage, you got to be able to communicate and help each other. And then the businesses and stuff. And it's probably not always been easy, but the thing is, you got to do the work
Yeah.
and make sure that you speak your voice when things need to be said as well.
Yeah.
In a nice way, not yelling. Don't wait. Don't have things pushed down and then go up, blow up. That's all part of the
Exactly.
healing work that you have to do.
Mm-hmm. And exactly. And I have noticed that the more I work on my own self, the better my relationship gets with everyone, but specifically my husband. I was able to learn that I could say, I don't need you to fix this right now. I just need you to listen because they're the fixers, right?
Mhm.
Things like just little things like that that can change a conversation. And I say get a hot tub because men don't like to slow down, but if you can get him in a hot tub, he's a captive audience, and that's where we do a lot of our planning is just sitting in the hot tub, and it's like, okay, we need a hot tub night. Um, and it's just a moment to relax. So and it doesn't have to be a hot tub, but you have to create those pockets.
Yes, I love that. I thank you for sharing all of this. And before we sign off, I'm going to make sure that people have all your amazing links, the link to your podcast, your website, all the things that you have going for you so they can connect with you. But before we wrap up, I always love to ask my guests, what is a word, a phrase, or some type of action, even a quote that my listeners can take with them today in order to refine and shine?
Mm. A couple things come to mind. One is wherever you go, there you are. And what that means is wherever you go, wherever your feet are planted, there you are. And are you happy with the version of you that's standing there? If you want to bring more to the table, then you have to start the inner work. And that way, that when you are showing up in different areas of your life, you're showing up as the person, your future self, right? The person you want to be. So keep that in mind. You wherever you go, there you are. And the true change and true healing, we see all this, you know, instant gratification on social media right now, right? It's, take a shot for this or take a pill for this. Wherever you go, there you are. Do the inner work, and those things you want to change in your life will start to change. And the other thing is that the solution to everything is action. Everything comes down to action. Even if that action is no action, right? Even if it's sitting still and journaling, that's the action that you need to take. But that is truly the solution to everything, is taking an action.
I
Those
love those.
that's
Those are
what
both those are both really good. I love that. I thank you so much. So I'm like thinking of like, you got to decide, right? And you on that whole action thing. And if you have all these issues you're dealing with, like you got to take action to change, or you got to take action to stop surrounding yourself with people. And I also love there you go, wherever you go, wherever you are, you go. Like
wherever you go, there you are.
there you are. Yeah. I love that as well. Because
Because
go ahead.
sorry, I just want to say on the action piece is that, if you are if the five people that are around you the most are not taking any action in their life, you gotta, either add or subtract to that circle, right? Because if they're just getting in the pool with you and commiserating with you and, oh, life is terrible, it's always going to be this way, nothing ever changes, those aren't your people. Change your circle and get some people in your life that are taking action.
I love that. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing all of these amazing things. Listeners, you need to follow her. You need to connect with her. And, if you can book that retreat with her, book that retreat. So I think that's important. I do have one question on the retreat. What type of women are you targeting for that? Is it any women? What's your age group that you're targeting?
Yeah. So here's the thing. I think that, it's probably going to be mostly midlife women who either have raised their kids or built a career, and you're just at a point where there's something in you that knows there's more, and maybe you don't know what it is. You haven't had the time to step back to really connect to what that is, or maybe there's just things that have started bubbling up and you don't understand them, and you want to kind of work through that. Come take a breath. We're going to be doing a lot of amazing things that weekend. And also, well, I don't want to give too much away. So I hope that answered your question.
No, it did. It did. And I'll definitely make sure that I have the link for them to sign up for that in the show notes.
Yeah.
So thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you. I appreciate all of this.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Refine and Shine. We hope you find valuable insights and inspiration to fuel your journey of continuous improvement. Remember, the key to success lies in refining your processes and letting your inner brilliance shine. If you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe to the podcast and leave a review. Your feedback is greatly appreciated and helps us reach more listeners like you who are eager to refine and shine in all areas of life. Stay connected with us on social media for updates and additional resources and behind-the-scenes content. We love hearing from our listeners, so feel free to reach out with any suggestions, questions, or success stories you'd like to share. As we wrap up, remember that the power to transform your life lies within you. Keep striving for growth, embracing change, and seeking opportunities to refine your skills. Together, let's continue to shine bright and make a positive impact in the world. Until next time, keep refining and keep shining.